this is Dodger, and you're watching my show.
Three, two, one, ready, go!
So this episode is going to come out a little late, and by a little late I mean like a couple of days late, but that's okay. That's okay, right? In fact, you know what, to make up for it, I'm putting in an extra topic. That's right, we're gonna do 7 topics today to make up for my grievous mishap in giving you late news. It turned out we were actually doing Geekenders LA this weekend, so I had 2 very, very full days of eating all kinds of weird things and going to all kinds of weird places, and made it a little bit difficult to get news out on time, but don't worry, the news is for reals and it's happening now. So our first topic, you might find a little ironic. Why? Because a couple of weeks ago, remember those bad dark times on this show? Remember 2 weeks ago when I was like, oh, there's a Pillars expansion that came out, but I thought that it was Path of Exile and I got the game switched. I know, we shouldn't even speak of it. But actually, there is an expansion, the 4th expansion, in fact, for Path of Exile. It's called Path of Exile Ascendency, and it looks super dope. So it focuses on a gentleman named Emperor Izaro, and of course it has all of the, new items and new areas, but some really cool stuff is you go through a series of trials that lead you to the Lord's Labyrinth. Now, the Lord's Labyrinth is a maze, as you might expect, and if you get all the way through it, you get a new subclass. So the new subclasses are Gladiator, Trickster, Occultist, and Deadeye. And if your first response was, I didn't think that the talent tree could get any more complicated, well, you were wrong, sirs and or madams. The other super cool thing about the Labyrinth is that every day it's going to change. So you don't get to just learn how to get through the labyrinth and then do it as much as you want and have it be the same every time. Every single day it's going to change. And the first people to get through the labyrinth each day are going to get special prizes. We don't know what sort of prizes they're going to be, but it gives you a reason to go back to the labyrinth and do it again, which is pretty fun. I will link you to the patch notes as well as the trailer if you would like to check it out. Looks super cool, and I would highly encourage all of you to check it out because, Path of Exile is a free-to-play game, and of course their expansion is also free-to-play, so it's worth it. I definitely think it's worth your time. The most recent piece of news is actually about Fable Legends. Now, Fable Legends has been in development for a while, like a decent amount of time, and Microsoft announced today that it is actually being canceled. Not only that, Lionhead Studios may be shutting down for good. As a side note to that, Press Play Studios, which is working on Project Knoxville, is also shutting down. So lots of just great Microsoft-esque news today. These have been tough decisions and we have not made them lightly, nor are they a reflection on these development teams. We are incredibly fortunate to have the talent, creativity, and commitment of the people at these studios. The Lionhead Studios team has delighted millions of fans with the Fable series over the past decade. Press Play imbued the industry with a unique creative spirit behind games like Max, The Curse of the Brotherhood, and Kalimba, which both captured passionate fans. These changes are taking effect as Microsoft Studios continues to focus its investment and development on the games and franchises that fans find most exciting and want to play. Despite saying that and making it sound like they're about to give us a reason for these things being shut down and these games being canceled, we haven't gotten any. We have no idea why Fable Legends was canceled. Some people played it and said that it looked good. Other people played it and were like, it looks all right. Their big draw that they kept pushing was that it was going to have cross-platform play, which could have been cool, but it just took forever for this game to come out. So the fact that this game specifically might have had a negative enough impact on the company that they're discussing shutting down is pretty severe. Not only that, but a bunch of people got emails saying, hey, I hope you're ready for the Fable Legends beta. And that was not that long ago, so it's sounding like this decision was made kind of out of the blue as far as a lot of people are concerned. Obviously, best of luck to both teams. You guys have made fantastic games, and I hope that it works out. If you're someone who has sunk hundreds of hours into Dominion mode on League of Legends, unfortunately on the 22nd, it was shut down forever. Now, Dominion mode, a lot of people don't really know what it is because less than, I think, 0.5% of LoL players actually did Dominion mode, and they've acknowledged that there is a significant number of those people who were just bots, which is very strange. But Dominion mode was basically like capture the point, but inside of League of Legends. It's had lots of balance problems for a while now. They really weren't focusing on it very much, so they put out a blog post earlier on last month and said, hey, just so you guys know, we're shutting it down. Especially recently, Riot has made it very clear that they want to take these sort of more specific game modes that have nothing to do with Summoner's Rift and turn them into kind of events, you know, like really short run events that happen, you know, maybe once a year, depending on how well they do, things like that. And the people who really like Dominion are a little upset because every single year, Riot was saying, we're gonna look into Dominion. We're gonna figure out Dominion. We're in discussion about it. We're gonna figure it out this year. And they never did it, you know? Which can be very disappointing for a fan because earlier on, when League of Legends was first being developed, you know, multiple game modes were on the table. That was like the plan. But then it became very obvious that Summoner's Rift was what everybody wanted to play. So we have Summoner's Rift that takes, you know, 20 plus minutes to play a game. And then we have Dominion, which is like maybe 15 minutes. So the people who wanted just kind of like a small snippet of gameplay and really enjoyed Dominion, over time were like, man, it just sucks that if you couldn't figure out how to balance it, that's fine. But it really sucks that you guys never gave us any accolades, never like figured out some sort of a reward system for us as players who really liked this. On that same note, might be a little too late, but if you have over 100 wins in Dominion mode, then you will be receiving a summoner icon that no one else can get. It's never going to be available to anybody else ever. Only you will get it if you were like that dedicated to Dominion mode, which is cool, but like, I mean, doesn't really make up for it, but you know. I think it's just become very obvious that balancing multiple modes when you have so many different types of characters and classes is like a big problem. That's why when Overwatch was announcing its new mode and I was like, man, I really hope that they can figure out a really cool mode that nobody's ever thought of to do. Everyone said, well, that's not gonna happen, right? Because this game is entirely based on all of these really different characters and you run into balancing problems when you change the game modes altogether. So having Dominion mode just constantly get more and more and more and more out of balance and then just reach this slipping point where it's like, I don't even know how to start fixing this, right? I think that developers are realizing that there's sort of a window that you have to work in, at least at first, in order to make it so that all of the modes are a bit better balanced. And that's rough when you want the game to be based on all of these really cool, interesting characters, you know? So yes, good night, sweet, sweet baby crystal star. I tried to do a thing there and it just fell apart. If you're like me and you're really, really excited for Mirror's Edge Catalyst, and you're also like me and maybe you didn't play the original Mirror's Edge games, you should check out the new videos that they just put out. They just put out 2 new trailers. One of them is called Movement, and one of them is called Combat. Now, I do know enough about Mirror's Edge to know that one of the big issues people had with it was combat. They always felt like, you know, the really fun part of the game was building up momentum and doing the parkour and all of that, and that the combat sort of got in the way and just slowed you down. So they made these videos to sort of show not only how fluid the movement is, but also how the movement can work into the combat. And the responses have been a bit mixed. It's been interesting because obviously the game is beautiful, right? Like anytime you see a trailer or footage of this game, you're like, oh, it looks so pretty, I just love it. But some people are saying, it looks like you might have the same problem that you had in the first one. That problem being that you're running along the wall, being super, super dope, and then you go to take down a guy and you have to build up your momentum again. Right? Now, I would say that it would be really confusing if you stopped to kick a guy and did not lose momentum. I think that that would upset me more than losing momentum. But what I would appreciate is if there's a way to just play the game and never have to be in combat, right? To just be like a super parkour badass and just be able to run by everybody and just like get out of there. But I know with as much as they've focused on the combat in all of the trailers, it seems like that's not going to be a full-on option. Either way, I'm hoping that it's going to be fun. It, again, just looks fantastic. I highly encourage you to check out the trailers. I will link them in the description. And yeah, it's just, it looks fantastic. I hope that it feels fantastic. And I hope that, I don't know, I hope that the combat feels fluid if you're forced into it. So Rocket League is getting its own championship series, and what that means is rather than having like a small tournament, like one that's being put on by MLG, which has happened, they are going to be doing like a long-running, full-on thing with qualifiers and multiple rounds and like a big prize pool and all of it. The prize pool is $75,000, which is a decent amount of money, and they're letting literally anybody apply for this. Like, anyone can join the qualifiers, which is super cool. I think the thing that people are finding the most intriguing is that it's going to be put on in conjunction with Twitch. From the moment we hit the pitch last July, we knew that Rocket League was a legitimate esport. Twitch and its streamers have been an instrumental part of our success since we launched, and that made them a perfect match for us. We couldn't be more thrilled to be working with a team that we respect as highly as we do Twitch, and we can't wait to show the world what we can do in esports together. You can register on March 25th to take part in the qualifiers if you are interested. There is also a teaser trailer that doesn't show anything. I'm gonna spoil it for you. I know. You're like, Dodger, I was gonna just like click on the link and go watch the teaser. Trust me, the teaser does not, it teases nothing. Rocket League is one of those games that I never quite like tapped into. You know? Like, I played it and I was like, that was alright. But like, I know people who think it's the most fun game they've ever played, which kind of blows my mind. It's just, it's not that game for me. You know, it's not gonna just capture my heart and fly away with it. Although, I mean, I have friends who don't like Stardew Valley, and that blows my mind. So I'm sure that me saying, Rocket League is just like an okay game blows other people's minds. You know, we all like different types of games. Would I watch this? Heck yeah, I would. The whole thing is gonna run over 3 months, so it's gonna be a big ol' event, and I'm sure all of you at some point will have an opportunity to watch it. To all of you eagerly anticipating Quantum Break and wondering what it's gonna be like, aside from the time stuff, right? We know that there's time stuff going on in this game faux show. But something that you might not know is that apparently half of the story is going to be told through a TV show that's inside the game. What I mean by that is they've actually they've pulled together a full-on cast, and they're going to be making a live-action video series that goes on throughout the game depending on the choices that you make, which is interesting but comes with a few complications, as you might imagine. Basically, you play the protagonists, right? And throughout the game you make all of these different choices. I mean, Remedy is pretty well known for this sort of an idea, right? Like a very, very story-based game. So you as the protagonist are making all of these choices and changing how the game progresses, and then, depending on what you do, at different interludes you will see a clip. And the clip, apparently, is going to be of the antagonists. And how you play the game is going to change the clip. So they've filmed over 40 different outcomes, depending on what you do inside of the game. Now, a very weird complication that people are talking about is, if you're playing this on Xbox One, you will have the option to download all of the video files and just have it all on there, ready to go. But if you're on PC, which arguably most people would have, you know, enough room on their PC to download those aspects of a game, right? If you're on PC, you cannot download those videos. You have to stream them, which means you have to play Quantum Break online. I don't get it. I don't understand why. It makes no sense to me. If you're able to say, yes, Xbox One, download all of those videos, but you can't do it on PC, where arguably people might have way more space, that is just so confusing to me. And as a few people have brought up, if you aren't online at the time, or if you have some sort of a streaming problem where you don't have a good enough connection to be able to stream a video, what happens? Does it give you a short blurb that explains what happened in the live action segment? Nobody knows. The game is supposed to be coming out on April 5th, so that does give them a little bit of time to change their mind if they see all of us being like, that's really dumb. Why? That's such a dumb decision to make. And obviously, you know, I'm of the mindset of make the game you want to make. If this is the game that you want to make that's just like half TV show, half game, that's fine. Do whatever game you want. Like, I don't care. That's awesome. Don't let us and our terrible internet hold you back. I don't know. But the fact that you don't have the option on PC to just download all of the videos, I don't get it. Why? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to me. So we'll see if they rescind that, if they decide that maybe that was dumb choice, like everybody is trying to convince them of. Ooh, messages. But if not, I hope that all of you have fantastic internet so that you can experience Quantum Break as the creators intend. When Street Fighter V launched, it had no way to punish rage quitters. And by that I mean anybody who plays a game, looks like they're gonna lose, and then they just vanish. And this is like a big problem in online play. The community, especially in the higher rankings, was saying, look, Capcom, you guys gotta do something about this. Like, releasing a game that literally only has the multiplayer mode, like, that's fine. Whatever. But guys, just like, you gotta help us out with at least policing that, right? So Capcom has started doing a little bit about that. Apparently, roughly 30 people have now had their rankings and their LP just shot down. And the reason for that is because Capcom said, look, if any of you have video footage of people who are rage quitting, then send it to us and we'll look at our statistics. So they sort of did a marriage, right? They got video footage of a dude who rage quits, and then they went and looked at their statistics and said, oh yeah, this guy has really high win rate and a really high disconnect rate, which is not looking good. We've been working hard with the Street Fighter V server team to put together a process to pinpoint users who are clearly abusing the system. And we're happy to announce that we can now do this without any proof of video. We will be punishing players on a weekly basis who have extremely high disconnect rates coupled with unrealistic win rates. To be clear, we are only targeting the worst offenders in our system, so if you've had a few instances of being disconnected during a match, you have nothing to worry about. The players who fit the criteria of what we would call a rage quitter typically have an 80 to 90% disconnect rate, and their accounts sit far outside of the norm as compared to the majority of other players. So yay to punishing rage quitters, and I don't know, maybe to making it a little bit more complicated than some people think it needs to be, but I do appreciate that they're saying, look, we don't want to punish people who are being disconnected, you know, because that's not their fault. We just want to punish the people who are trying to game the system, and we ain't about that life. This, by the way, is not the March update. They are going to be doing the March update as a totally separate thing. This was just them addressing the issues that have come up with rage quitters, but the March update is going to be a completely separate, like, full-on announcement and update of things, so keep an eye out for that. And anywho, that's been my show. Thank you so much for watching. If you have a positive or a negative response, feel free to leave it in my comment section. And if you would like to have coffee with me, I haven't made one in a very long time, but I would highly encourage you to check out my Twitch channel at twitch.tv/dexteritybonus. Almost every Saturday morning, I've been doing a show called Saturday Morning Duger, which is like an hour-long coffee time. It's been super fun. I would love to see you there hanging out in chat. I do like a little Q&A and stuff. It's been really cool. So yeah, would love it if you check that out. And otherwise, I hope that you are doing fabulous. I hope the beginning of your week was great, and I'll talk to you again next time. Okay? Bye-bye. Mwah. Why? That's such a dumb decision to make.